Hey, this is Tarence Lauchié, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to this podcast, The Growth Exchange. This podcast was designed to curate conversation, dialogue, and monologue around all things growth. I believe that everything living has the potential to grow into its fullest and most maximal potential. So let's grow. Hey, welcome to Season 2 of the Growth Exchange podcast. I'm Dr. Tarence Lauchié, elated at the opportunity to come to you, and hopefully you are liking, sharing, following, and using this material, this content for your own personal growth and development. Remember, the Growth Exchange podcast was designed to address all things growth from a personal, professional level, spiritual, financial, social, even in our families. We all need to grow, and I'm a firm believer that anything living can grow and maximize its fullest potential. So when I mentioned that different types of leadership that exist, I talk about the fact that leadership is an ability to inspire and influence. Remember, it's influence, nothing more, nothing less. I always add the ability to inspire because that's what I do. Leadership is all around us. But I want to somehow bring out to you that leadership is not only around us, leadership is within us. So what does that look like for you? What does it look like for you to tap into the leadership and the leadership potential that you have? I really do look at leadership as being sacred. I look at it as being a sacred calling that we respond to. We all have the propensity to do it, but some people literally respond to the call of leadership in their lives, and they take it into various directions. It is also very hinged upon their talents and their capacity or tenacity and their ability to function in settings that might challenge them in a lot of different ways. So leadership really becomes a catalyst or an opportunity center for people to become everything that they can be and learn more about themselves while helping others to achieve. So here's some other pointers or tips. These I'm taking exactly right out of the Maximize Leadership Journal that should be available soon. And I want to start with a quote. Leadership is not about titles, but about the positive impact that you have on others. It's quite like the statement that John Maxwell is famous for in saying that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Understand this, that when influence is owned, when you own your influence, when you take full responsibility for your influence, you're particular about who you let in your circles, and you're particular about what circles you go into. And so you're very intentional about it. Influence really is the currency of leadership. Influence is what buys you time or gives you access and space into people's lives, your influence. So influence is the currency. Spend it wisely. I look at growth as being grit. It literally is, by design, the ability to endure and to stay in there and to fight for what is yours, for what you know is rightfully your prescription. God has designed something specifically for each of us in life, and fulfilling that is quite fulfilling and overwhelmingly joyous. But in the process, you have to be able to identify and endure grit because it takes grit in order to grow. Talent is like a wild horse. It needs to be tamed and directed to achieve greatness. It's like a wild horse. Now, a horse is majestic. A horse can be celebrated and used as a beast of burden, as they would say, to carry you or something. But typically we look at horses as majestic animals that have been in the wild that are now tamed, and they have a certain prowess about them. So grit is necessary for your giftedness to be polished and to actually shine like it should. Grit is the spark that ignites the fire of giftedness. Grit ignites the fire of giftedness. And we can use that as a measuring point. In fact, the ceiling becomes the floor in those instances. And so failure, likewise, is an opportunity to learn. I think it was a prolific speaker who once said, if you're going to fail forward. At least you'll be able to say that you're closer to your goal and your objective. Get up and keep moving. I believe that God is the only sovereign and worthy one there is, but his attributes in us give us value or worth. So we have worth without having to be worthy. It's like faith over fear. Distance over speed is like faith over fear. Now, being a man of faith and being deeply rooted in my faith in God and Scripture and understanding what it means to apply that principally in every area of my life, I think about how faith is substantive for us, and it's something that we hold on to. Fear is not our friend. So distance over speed in a race ultimately gets you the finish line. Faith over fear in a race also gets you to the finish line. You see, consistency will often outlast intensity. There were times in the race that I ran fast or jogged, trotted. And then there were times when I was walking sluggishly. There were times when it was so difficult to just kind of keep my hands, moving or my head up, because it seemed as if the closer I got to finishing the race, the more difficult it became. Notice I said inspire and not motivate. Motivation is something that has to happen from the inside, because if somebody can move you or motivate you, they can also stop you or discourage you. Leading with hope is not just trying to get somebody to see the good in something that may not be good. Leading with hope is a disciplined expectation. It is anchored in hope that comes from our faith in God. Our faith, for me, it's God, or your faith in someone greater than you. Hope becomes really an anchor of our well-being, an anchor of our soul, as it is written in ancient text. Hope is the anchor of our souls. Now, we don't hope for what we already see. We hope for what is to come based on an assurance activated by faith or belief in what it is that we're hoping for. Hope really is a leadership strategy. It's a strategy and not just something you have or you don't have. It's really an alignment of hearts and energy as well as culture. It helps an organization or an individual or a group keep moving through the uncertainties. Effort, a determined effort to do something different. You can't go back to the way things were. I want to inspire somebody, even in this conversation or this monologue, to think about the fact that in order to get something that you have never had, you have to do something that you've never done. And you have to be willing to bear under the pressure of the unknown and perhaps even take risks and become vulnerable to the unknown. One of the things I found to be very helpful in overcoming barriers to growth would be, one, to observe, watch. And when we look at tapping into a growth mindset, we don't run away from disruption. We lean into disruption. I'm reminded of COVID, the period that we call the COVID era. 5 years ago, we endured one of the most catastrophic things that humanity has ever faced, right up there with the Black Plague or right up there with various other pandemics, and we survived. But in the survival, we didn't just continue to exist. We learned some things, and we picked up strategies, and we learned techniques, innovations that helped us to learn how to do things more efficiently or even more effectively because of the restrictions that we had or the limitations that versions of a software application will come out, and you'll have to upgrade that. You'll literally have to do the update on that software app. Well, that is really what it is required for us to fight, to survive, to move beyond the thing that would have stopped us or blocked us or even killed us. We have to embrace or download the 2.0 application or the 2.0 version of ourselves. And it became a thing for me to use the terminology that I'm Tarence 2.0, which means that I'm willing to embrace change, willing to overcome barriers, developing strategies, asking questions, learning things that I've never known before. I often tell people that we only know what we know. And if we only know what we know, then we don't know what we don't know. I'll let you unpack that. If we go with just what we know, what happens is that we become limited to just that exposure. But if we ensue or go after what we don't know, we now have given ourselves. Because if you've run this far, you may as well finish. I've always said that God never brings you this far just to bring you this far. You've never saw somebody who accomplished just to have accomplished. No, they accomplished to go on to the next thing. And so I have a quote here that I think is going to be inspirational enough to inspire you. Nothing is ever lost when it's been given over to God. It simply becomes a lesson. So that means even in our trials and our temptations of trying to make a success out of our lives, sometimes setbacks are setups. Sometimes what appears to be failures are really the forward to a wonderful collection of chapters for the future. Bottom line, we all have to level up. Bottom line, that whether we are the leader or the employee, whether we are the staff or the supervision, whether we are the CEO or whether we are the individual who has just entered the organization, we all have a responsibility to leveling up in order to reach that common goal. Accountability is not just answering to someone. Accountability is making yourself vulnerable to let someone help you to reach your goal, to let someone walk with you in the journey, to let someone share in the process as well as the productivity of your journey. The thing about worthy is that it's left up to judgment. It's left up to comparison. It's left up to whether or not something is better than something else. When worth is just simply ascribed, when God, wrote out our name in destiny, he also put worth or value to it. To grow. What do we do with God's design plan for us to grow? If we are alive, we're growing. If you're not growing, then your aliveness is diminishing. So I strongly encourage that you take advantage of the energy that comes when you're in exchange with people. Be careful, because you don't want to exchange negative energy for your positive energy. You don't necessarily want to produce negative energy for someone else's positive energy. So you match the energy. And if you find yourself having to degrade the energy level in the response between you and another person communicating, you need to probably consider another person to communicate with, somebody that matches the positive energy, the objectives, the growth design that you're trying to accomplish. Be encouraged to know that there's always something that we can do to improve upon, but we all have the capacity to grow. So let's grow. This episode is sponsored by Speak Media Services, where we believe everyone deserves the opportunity to capture and preserve their unique stories. You're not just another number in the crowd. Your individuality matters. Our intimate photography and videography services are tailored to your vision and budget, ensuring your essence shines through. Allow us to help preserve the moments that mean the most. With our support, you'll create cherished keepsakes to treasure for years to come. Speak Media Services, your story, your way. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Growth Exchange. I'm Dr. Tarence Lauchié. It's been a pleasure to have these conversations and dialogues with our guests. If you notice, one thing we all share in common, and that is the ability, the desire, and the potential to grow and maximize our fullest potential. So keep tuning in. Share this with somebody, like it, maybe even invite somebody. And if you'd like to be a guest, contact us with the information that's here and available for you. Let's grow.